Okay, good evening, everyone. It looks like we have a great crowd of, let's see, the class of 2026. Miss Schott, am I right on that one? Will this
Yeah,
be
you
our
are.
Yes, okay. So my name is Cindy Patton. I am an assistant principal at Tech High School. I will be running the presentation tonight in terms of advancing through the slides. With me, I have our ninth grade counselor, Jenny Schott, who has amazing
I
experience at Tech High School as well
our
as other
presentation on
schools within the
registration.
district. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. There is a form that I believe you have a link to that will allow you to share any questions. We'll have a few questions or an opportunity for questions at the end of the presentation. And so please use that link and type your questions into the form, and we will go ahead and get started.
So, as Miss Hatton said, I'm Jenny Shaw. I'm one of the counselors from Tech High School. But all of the information we're presenting to you tonight is for students attending both Apollo High School and Tech High School. So, our district has aligned, so our registration process for both high schools is seamless. You will see that we've posted some links that you can use if you would have questions during this presentation. We are monitoring those questions and we'll get to those questions before the end of the presentation. All right, so we are currently in the registration process with our district eighth graders. The presentations are in the process of being done with every class at the North Junior High and at the South Junior High. We have presented all of the information regarding credits that students need to graduate from high school, regarding the importance of earning a good GPA when they go to high school. We give them all sorts of pointers on how to make use of the rest of their eighth grade year so that when they attend high school, they will find success. So we've used that opportunity to not only register them for classes, but to also give them some pointers for success. So we've been in the classrooms. The students have been given their registration forms in their classrooms, and all of the information has been shared with them as far as the course catalog for the course. We have encouraged all of the eighth graders to share this information with parents. So please feel free to ask your son or daughter about their registration materials and what they learned in those presentations. But we also want to make sure that you are aware of the process and that we will be completing registration next week, the week of February 7th. So we are hopeful that all of the students will have put a lot of time and research into selecting their classes very carefully, and that when we step back into their classrooms next week, that their registration forms will be complete and they will actually be enrolling those classes into our Skyward system for next year. All of the high school counselors will be going back to the junior highs for two days next week. So know that that is coming. So your student should have a registration form, which will show everything that they need to register for. when they move into the ninth grade year, they have to follow the graduation standards that are required by the state of Minnesota and required by our district to earn a high school diploma. So that is built or made up of language arts, which they will take all 4 years of high school. Um, Social studies, they will take all 4 years. In ninth grade, students are only required to do 2 trimesters of geography. Um, but they will have the opportunity if they'd like to take an advanced placement course, which would be 3 trimesters. Um, Math, generally, our ninth grade math is the intermediate algebra. However, there are some students in eighth grade that are currently taking the intermediate algebra. So then they would move on into a geometry level next year. Math is very sequential. So we are very careful about students finding success with their current math class before they move on to their next math class. Science is something, oh, and I should point out, math is only required for graduation for 3 years. However, a lot of colleges like to see 4 years. Science also is only required 3 years, but a lot of students will take a fourth year as well, as some colleges like that. And so students will register for their 4 core classes. Then they will also pick elective classes. And on their sheets, they will be circling course numbers for 7 credits of electives. And there's a lot of opportunities on the registration sheet, both on the bottom of the front side and on the back side. Cindy, any questions we want to share with the group so far, or should we wait on that?
I will share, we do have a couple of questions coming in. I mentioned to you about there's a registration, or the question is there a registration deadline for incoming ninth graders? And this is regarding families that are currently undecided on which school in the area they would like their ninth grader to attend. And then the second question is regarding Spanish immersion for ninth grade. And that question is specific to tech. How is tech handling Spanish immersion for ninth grade?
2 very good questions. That first question about a deadline to register with our school district. And I do know that information was presented to students at Stride Academy today, and we plan to present information to the Athlos 8th graders as well next week. But parents of Stride students and Athlos students were invited to this meeting as well. So please know that I often reference North and South, but we welcome you as well. So as far as enrolling in our district, as far as our staffing goes and course selection, we really like to have all of that wrapped up and done by the winter break, or by the, I guess it's kind of spring break. So by the end of February is when we really want to have all of the registration and class selection done. So it is helpful if a decision can be made by the end of February, but I understand, and it's not a hard deadline by any means. It is just more helpful for us in our planning and moving ahead in our district, knowing the correct numbers. So I encourage you, if you can make a decision by then, but also know that, decisions, we understand, aren't carved in stone. So changes happen, and we are fortunate to have really good quality people in the district that can support that. If you change your mind down the road. So that's like I said, I think we'd prefer by the end of February, but really you have the freedom to enroll in our district when you're comfortable enrolling and choosing a school. The second question was Spanish immersion. That's a really good question. Since we've been fortunate to have that within our school on the south side of town, we have a great number of students who are in Spanish immersion. So in 8th grade, their teacher, Miss Day, will kind of assess them and she will make a recommendation on the level of Spanish that those students would enter in the high school. The majority of our students, I believe, move into either Spanish 3 or Spanish 4. That has generally been the recommendation in the past. And that recommendation comes specifically from their current teacher at South Junior High, Miss Day.
Jenny, I'm going to ask one more question that came through regarding parent approval of the registration process or the
Mhm.
student choices. So the question is,
Mhm.
don't parents sign off on the registration?
Yeah, we revised our registration forms this year. And surprisingly, we did not include a parent signature. And I know there is only so much room on our registration forms. So we aren't like officially requiring students to have parents sign off. Um, but we have really strongly recommended to our 8th graders to share this information with their parents, because we want to partner with parents, and we stress the importance that parents want to know what's going on with their future. What Miss Patton has just shared here is an example of our 9th grade registration form. It is not all inclusive. This is just the top portion of the front page. So a completed registration form would include the student's first and last name, their student ID number. Then for each of the core area classes, you can see that we offer 2 different levels for LA Science and Social Studies. We offer an honors and a regular for language arts. We offer an honors and a regular for science. And then we offer an AP Human Geography, which is advanced placement. So that's our highest level of college rigor class. In that AP Geography class, the student is doing college level coursework. They would take an exam in the spring. If they score high enough on that exam, colleges will either give them geography credit, or they will acknowledge met that college requirement, and that way the student doesn't have to pay to take a geography class in college. So those are the options for the LA Science and Math. One of some of the pointers we gave the 9th graders on choosing one level is if they are pretty solid students as far as having near perfect attendance, and they hardly miss any assignments, and they've got some skills as far as studying and preparing for tests. And if they're maybe currently getting an A in their regular classes, that would be a consideration that they would do just fine with our honors classes. A reason to take the honors classes would be to prepare yourself for the AP classes, the advanced placement in language arts or the advanced placement in science, that would be available to students down the road in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. So just moving them into that higher level learning. You will notice the AP Human Geography is 3 credits, not the 2 required. So that extra credit will take up one of the elective spaces. So if students are taking AP Geography, they're only going to select 6 electives. Math is, we don't offer an advanced level of the algebra. So intermediate algebra is just consistent across the board. But when students move into 10th grade with geometry, or if they happen to be someone who's doing intermediate algebra right now, they would move into either geometry or advanced geometry next year. So there are some level choices with geometry in the future. On that
Jenny,
sheet, oh, yep, go
I'm
ahead,
going
Miss
to throw
Patton.
in a question. If
Mhm.
there's a situation in which perhaps a student missed class the day this was presented,
Yep.
or for any reason just wasn't present in school when the presentations on registration occur, how will the registration be granted process granted to students who have missed school?
Yeah. So each of the schools and each of the classrooms we're in has a staff of students who are absent. Um, we also, on our tech website, and I believe Apollo has this as well, on the front website under Tech News, there is a link for registration. And if families go into that link, all of our information is in there. So the actual PowerPoints that we've been sharing with students are in that link. So students could actually watch the PowerPoint that has a voiceover explanation of everything that we covered in those classrooms. So students could watch those PowerPoints. The nice thing, there's 5 school counselors at each high school. And when we go in those 2 days next week to do their actual registration in Skyward, there's going to be a lot of individual attention. So those students also could have time one-on-one with a counselor to kind of get their own explanation of everything and support and guidance in making their good decisions.
Okay, and one more question was if a
Mhm.
student takes Spanish Immersion 4, and I believe the author was just referring to this as Spanish 4, will it replace their language arts credit?
You kind of cut out, Ms. Hatton, so could you just repeat that question again?
Yeah, I'm going to try again. We have 3 of us trying to lead these presentations from the school, and I wonder if it's causing issues with the
Ah,
internet connection or if something's going on. The question was, if a student takes Spanish Immersion 4, and that's how it was written, so I believe they're just referring to Spanish 4, can it replace the language arts requirement?
oh. Um, Spanish 4 and the immersion Spanish cannot replace the language arts standards. The language arts standards are required by the state of Minnesota. And so those are only available in those language arts classes, which is, um, hopefully you're hearing me. Uh, One thing to note, there is in the handbook, if you go into our registration guide, there is a list of the graduation requirements. And there is no world language requirement for graduation. World language is simply available in high schools and recommended because many colleges like to see a couple years of a world language, anywhere from 2 years to 3 years is generally what four-year colleges would like to see. Not all colleges, but some colleges. So um, if that was the world language standard, maybe you were referring to, like I said, that is world language is not a standard required for graduation. It's just an elective. I'm gonna continue here just a little bit. You'll notice at the bottom it says circle 7 electives, and there all you see is the art and health, but there are many different areas that we offer for electives, and so that sheet actually includes physical education, it includes business classes, technical education classes, health science classes, the world language, the music classes, there are many choices for classes for students. Um, as I said earlier, the students will be registering in their classes next week. Um, and all 5 counselors from each high school will be in those classrooms. When the student does come to register, what they need to have with them is a Chromebook. So please make sure that their Chromebook is charged up for that day. And then their registration form. Those are really the two items that they need, and we will be double checking their registration forms to make sure everything looks accurate. We will be helping them to put those courses right directly into Skyward. And then we actually collect the registration forms that day, just so that we can keep them at Tech and hang on to them for future reference. Uh, Apollo does the same thing also. I mentioned earlier the course catalog. The district registration course catalog can be found on both the Tech and the Apollo websites. And if you scroll down just on the website, there's a section called Quick Links, and that is where that course catalog is found at on both school websites. The course catalog is really, really helpful. Once you on the front, there is a letter from our superintendent, assistant superintendent. And then the tabs across the top are that registration planning section. If you click on that, you will find all of the career and college planning information, courses. EPIC is exploring potential interests and careers. Those are courses that are recommended to be taken in ninth grade because they explore the different pathway areas. There are 3 pathway areas. The areas are EPIC BECA, which stands for Business, Entrepreneurship, and Communication Arts. There is EPIC HHH, which stands for Health Sciences, Human Services, and Hospitality. There is EPIC MENR, which stands for Manufacturing, Engineering, and Natural Resources. So under registration planning, if you click on college and career, you will find all that information. There is also a great deal of information about our college credit earning opportunities, such as PSEO and senior to sophomore. Senior to sophomore has been renamed to Husky in the high school. And so just a word about those programs. PSEO students can take college level classes at the colleges, but they're actually on the campus. They can do so starting as early as 10th grade. If their grade point average is a 3.8 or higher going into 10th grade, they could take part in PSEO. That's the post-secondary enrollment option. College classes are totally free, books are paid for, but the students do have to get themselves to campus. The grade point for 11th graders for that is 3.5 or higher, and seniors is 3.0 or higher. So that's the PSEO program. Senior to sophomore, or now it's called Huskies in the high school. There's a number of courses at the high schools that the teachers are aligned with the college, and so the college will just automatically put that credit onto a college transcript if the student meets those GPA cutoffs and takes those classes and is successful. So that's another credit opportunity. We have a number of articulated courses that students can take where they get a certificate for credit that can be taken to the St. Cloud Technical and Community College. So all of that PSEO information and college earning credit information is found under the registration planning tab under special programs. So if you want to explore that. It also lists all of our AP classes, so you can see all the AP advanced placement classes that are offered within high school. And there is also a tab regarding NCAA if you have a student that happens to be a phenomenal athlete and may possibly be heading to be an athlete at a D1 or D2 school. The requirements for NCAA are in there as well. As I said earlier, the graduation requirements are on the course catalog. Right at the top, you see it says grad requirements. You'll see that list along with a breakdown showing each grad year what classes are taken for credit. Electives by grade, that simply just kind of matches the registration sheet that each grade level gets. And then most importantly is the tab that says more. If you open that up, that gives you all of our curricular areas. And under each curricular area is every single course that we offer at Tech. And so that is where you would look up a certain course to read the description, to see what years it's offered, to see if it has a prerequisite. Um, so any course or class that your student is curious about and wants to know what it's about, that is where that information is found. So in the past, we used to hand one of our registration booklets to each and every student. In today's day and age, we don't do that. So this is now our registration booklet guide. And once again, it can be found on both the Tech and the Apollo websites on the right-hand margin under quick links.
Jenny, there's a question specific to wind ensemble. It
Yes.
says, if the class is not listed, such as wind ensemble, how would a ninth grader register for it?
Yeah, so the music program has certain kind of levels of performance. And so generally, our students will register for the regular ninth grade band and regular ninth grade choir. Um, those higher levels of music, the band or choir teacher will audition the student. So if a student firmly believes that they should qualify for wind ensemble, they can get in touch with the band teacher and do an audition and see if they qualify for that level of performance. On the register form, write in on the form, would like to audition for that, and then we would get that information to the band teacher, and they could connect with that person. Any other questions at this point?
Not at this point.
Good. And also, I mentioned that on our web pages, not only is there that link for the course catalog under quick links, but right under like the Tech News and the Apollo News, there should be a registration link. And if you open that up, there's lots of information. There is an introduction video. There is the flyer that we had sent out with all the dates of registration. The grade level. There is also a recorded session of every town hall that we provided for each for the different grade levels. And this video tonight will be posted on that site as well. So if you know of anyone who could not make it tonight and wanted more information, please encourage them to visit that registration tab on the main school website, and the town hall can be found a link to watch the video of it. As I said, each high school has 5 counselors, and the structure that we have set up with those with the high schools is we have one counselor that is dedicated to ninth grade, so helping all of the ninth graders with last names A through Z, all of them transition into the high school. The other 4 counselors then share the alphabet. They split the alphabet so that once a student moves to 10th grade, then they are assigned a counselor according to their last name, and that counselor will stay with them the remaining 3 years of high school. So they will work with them 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, and their work with them is kind of centered around career and college pathways and their transition out of high school. we are so here you will see these are the Apollo counselors. Amanda Parker is the ninth grade counselor, and then the other counselors share by alphabet. Students with last names A through D work with Miss Gretchen Van Houen. Students with last names E through LE work with Miss Jessica Galeiden. Students with last names LF through P work with Rick Larson, and students with last names Q through Z work with Tony Backus. At Tech High School, we have the exact same structure. I work with all the ninth graders. So Jenny Schad, I work with all the ninth graders, A through Z. When students move to 10th grade, then they're assigned by last name. So students with last names A through CI will work with Miss Erin Block. Students with last names CJ through I work with Miss Catherine Jesperson. Students with last names J through N work with Phil Corbett. And students with last names, it's actually O through Z, that's a typo. Students with last names O through Z work with Miss Chrissy Lane. So just a reminder that this coming week is when we will be doing the official registration of courses in Skyward. We do have a resource that we'd like to share. We have some free tutoring that is available in our area. And I believe the next slide shows that the free tutoring is an online tutoring in the St. Cloud area. It's called Around Cloud Tutors. The tutors are available Monday through Friday in a one-to-one online session. These sessions, I believe, are 30 minutes long, but you can sign up for as many of the sessions as you need. And there are tutors available. So in order to sign up, you just go to that website, aroundcloudtutors.org. Just a great resource for our community.
Ms. Schad, there's a question from a watcher or a viewer, I should say. It states, can you tell me how I get into the higher level band?
Higher level band. Yeah, that's an attractive question tonight. To get into the higher level band, what I would recommend your student do is write on their registration that they would like to audition for a higher level band. If they write that on their registration form, we will note that, or if they point it out to the counselor that works with them this week, we will make sure we hold their registration form aside. They will register for the regular ninth grade band for starters, but we will get that information to our band teacher so that they can be in touch with them for an audition.
Okay, it looks like we've come to the last slide, and I'm just going to double check quick to see if we've missed any questions. Again, this recording will be shared on our website. We are talking to you from Tech High School, but you could go to Tech or Apollo website at any time, probably beginning tomorrow, to view this presentation. I know that we have quite a few viewers, and many of you entered a little bit later, and so there is a lot of really good information that has been shared. And I guess one final question here, Ms. Schad. If a student misses the registration day next week, will parents be able to help them register?
Yes, so we will. We have kind of enlisted our partners in the middle school, the counselor there, and some of the classroom teachers there have heard our presentation, and so they are adept at helping students with this information. So by all means, if your son or daughter needs more time or Mrs. is out for school during this time, we will continue to follow up until we have registrations from every student. And so the counselor at the middle school would generally facilitate that process, and then eventually they would get the registration forms to the appropriate person at the high school. So we get those into our system. Like I said, kind of our ultimate goal is everything is done um, by the end of February, or that March 3rd date, essentially.
Okay, I'm going to go back one more time to our page with our links to submit questions, just to make one last or provide one last opportunity for anybody to dial in before we close for the night. We're looking at 6:38, which is good timing. There is another question here.
Okay.
We have a student who is brand new to the district and only been in school for 3 days and
Mhm.
a little bit confused and wondering if there's a way to have a one-on-one conversation with one of the counselors. So that's one of the questions. And then if your student is on an IEP, who helps them register?
Both really good questions. So if your student is brand new to the district, like I said, next week when we are back in the middle schools, all 5 high school counselors will be in a classroom um, each day, each period with each student. So I believe, like at South, we are going into the science classrooms. So as we go in, there's roughly 30 students in there. There's 5 counselors. We will with any questions will be facilitated new. We may take the time to go through more. So I feel there will be an opportunity to make that connection. Also, that will be with any students who may need more time in the process. So I would highly um, encourage your son or daughter to reach out to the 8th grade counselor as well. You're welcome to send any questions to our email. And then there was the second question.
The second question involved students on IEPs. How will they receive assistance for registration?
Yeah. First, an individual education plan case manager that works pretty closely with that student. And those IEP case managers are well informed on what we're doing with registration, and they are meeting with the students that they work with to supervise what type of core curricular area they have, whether they're in a pull-out language arts class or a pull-out math class or a co-taught. Many of our classes are co-taught, meaning we have both the regular language arts teacher and then a possible special education teacher in there. The same goes for our English learner students. Our English learner students, we have kind of pre-registered them because they are given their access test every year, and we know what level of English they're at. And so we do a lot of work up front with our EL teachers as well. So yeah, the IEP case manager that the student has is very involved in helping them in their class selection for the next year.
Thank you, Mashad. One more question, and I think we're slowing down here, so we'll be able to close out. But there's a viewer who would like to know how to get the course registration numbers for Spanish 4.
Oh, yeah, we did not put those numbers on the registration sheet. So I instructed all of the Spanish immersion students to write under world language in big letters, Spanish immersion. And then we get those recommendations from Miss Day. So we would be well informed on which level they would be in, whether it's the Spanish 3 or the Spanish 4. And we would put those numbers in at Tech High School, and Apollo would put their numbers in at Apollo High School. So please know that we don't provide those on the form. So when your student registers that day, instead of registering for the full 18 credits, they will register for we would registration form in a separate pile at the end of the day. One other thing, not only do students circle their 7 elective choices, there's one final spot on the registration form that we ask our students to do 3 alternative electives. And what that is that is 3 backup electives, so that if they happen to not be able to get the first 7 they wanted, because sometimes the puzzle doesn't fit for their choices, then we want second choices. So that's what those alternative electives are. And we just encourage the students to write in the course number of 3 classes that they would also like to have if they can't have their original 7.
Okay, one final question here. If a parent would like to meet with and speak with a counselor, what is your recommendation? Should they reach out to the South counselor or the Tech or Apollo High School counselor?
Probably recommended to reach out to the Apollo or the Tech. I think if you call the Apollo or Tech counseling office or guidance office, you can arrange for an appointment either by Google Meet or over the phone or possibly in person.
Perfect. Awesome. So that is going to conclude our meeting. First of all, thank you, Ms. Shad. You did a great job explaining a very meaty topic. There's a lot of information out there, and I know your students are really enthusiastic and excited to get done with this registration process. We are looking so forward to welcoming your students to Tech High School next year, or if you're on the other side of town, I know Apollo is very excited as well. Thank you so much for your time tonight, and please stay warm.
And thank you everyone for your time and attention and your good questions. And I can't tell you how impressed I've been with the 8th graders that I've worked with so far. I'm very excited about the class of 2026. I think they're going to be fantastic.